Good morning and welcome back to the Brisbane Clean Ride channel. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We've got a 2000 model Harley Davidson Fat Boy. Done about 50,000 Ks, been all around the world apparently, but we're going to do some chrome correction, fork strip and polish. Usually I wouldn't start them in the studio, obviously they go through the wash bay first, but just to give you a bit more of a look at this one before we get into it, you can see obviously the chrome's heavily oxidised. Paint works pretty good, but obviously we'll decon all that, polish that up. We'll go right through the bike, tidy it all up for the owner, get it back to him. But yeah, mainly what we're going to do at the start here is I'm going to show you a bit on a fork strip and polish. So basically we've got to get the front guard off, wheel off, and then yeah, we can get into doing the fork correction and chrome polishing. So and then yeah, I'll put it back together, put it back into the work, put it back into the wash bay, and yeah, go from there. Anyway, stay tuned, see how this one goes. Cheers. Righto, so we're running the GoPro head mount again. That seemed to work pretty good with the MV video. I've just gone ahead and covered these up. The lower fork bells, I like to cover those up so we just don't create any unnecessary damage to the chrome on these. We're going to strip obviously the reflector off, brake caliper out of the way, guard off, wheel out, and then that gives us full access to both front and left fork tubes. So I'm going to go ahead and do all that, and then yeah, we'll come back and have a look at it when she's ready to go. Righto, the reflectors are all off now, just clean that surface there. I use kerosene as my cutting agent when I'm using the wet and dry. Obviously other people might use other stuff, WD-40, whatever, that's what I use. Start off with a 240 grit, I'll move up to a 400, 1000, you can go 2000, 3000, you can do it all by hand. I tend to do all the start by hand, and then I move over to some cutting discs with some cutting compound, some different stuff, just to finish it off. But usually there's no easy way to do it. You can use mechanical stuff if you like, but I find, you know, doing it properly by hand, you get the best results. That's just what I found. But as I said, whatever works for you, you crack on with that. That's how I do it. So anyway, I'm going to start cutting these back. I'm using the 240. We won't film it all. Obviously, it's pretty boring watching someone sandbag some fork legs. But anyway, we'll get into it. Basically, yeah, it's removing all this top layer. You know, I have heard of people using a paint stripper on there, and then letting the paint stripper sit there and remove that coating. I've never tried that yet. I'd be willing to give it a go, but at the moment I obviously just do what I do and how I go about it. So anyway, I'll keep working on this. I'll rub all this down. We'll speed a bit of it up, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the differences in the layers as we go. And we'll do this one all in 240, leave that one, show the difference, then do that 240, then go 400, and vice versa. And then we'll just keep going until we get it done. Right, you can see there already just from the 240, getting through this top layer. You know, it just takes time, you know, like going through all this sort of stuff. It's a bit of hard work, a bit of elbow grease, put shoulders into it. But yeah, it's rewarding too, you know, like there's some therapy in doing this sort of stuff and cleaning it up. And, you know, shout out to the guy that mows lawns and got millions of followers. I think that's pretty cool too. But you know, this is what I like doing in the studio. I like doing the restoration sort of stuff. We've got a couple of projects on the go at the moment. There's a 916 there, Verasi. We recently just moved that on for another owner. But you know, the tank needed to be relined. The pump was gone in it. So we've sent all that off to get sorted out. And then we'll send it off to get the mechanicals sort of sorted. Belts, fluids, all ready to go. So, you know, as much as these bikes are pretty sitting in a collection, there's still a lot of work that, you know, you need to keep doing with them to make sure, you know, mechanically they stay good. You know, whether it's draining all the fuel out or filling all the fuel up, or, you know, making sure the fluids in them are all good. Yeah, keeping them running, you know, they're meant to be, you know, unless you're never going to run it again and just sit it there, well then yeah, do it the way that it needs to be done, and then yeah, be right. Anyway, I'm going to keep going with this. I'm going to turn this camera off, and yeah, I'll come back once this leg's all done. Righto, well, we've just pretty much done a 240 cut on this leg. You can see that the difference just from a 240 is making. It sort of gets all that top coating off. Some of these parts in here that you're not going to see, it's not too much to worry about. But yeah, one thing that you really need to make sure you do is do the first steps well, because what you'll find is that if you don't do the first steps well, it will shine through in the other steps, and not in a good way. So, you know, at the end of the day, you want these to look perfect. So making sure you get, you know, a really good substructure to work on, and then to polish it up from there is really important. So it is very important to spend the time on the lower stuff, the lower grades of sanding, and then yeah, then that way, you know, when you go and do the top part, it's much easier, and you get a much better result. So anyway, I'm going to just keep finishing this one off a little bit more, then I'll get stuck on the other one. And then yeah, once both of them done, we'll come back and we'll see what they look like. Righto, so we've done the 250 cut. You can see that they're a lot different to where we started. So from now, what we do is we start going with the 400, and same process, just by hand, just get it all this nice and smooth. You'll see a change now straight into 400 as we get some of these sanding marks out, these wet and dry marks. And then yeah, once we get that past that, we'll move up to 1,000. I do use a mechanical cut on 1,000, but then I do finish it off with a paper cut. So I'll show you that too. But anyway, we'll do the 400, and you'll see that it'll start shining up nicely. Yeah, keep rubbing. Both these have had a 400 cut, and then I've done this one here with 1,000 wet and dry. So just basically polish this up with a 1000 grit. As I said, this side here is still sitting at a 400, but what I'm going to show you is this is a 1200 finishing disc. It's just good on the metal surfaces. You sort of just give it a bit of lubricant like that, and then yeah, flings around a little bit, but that's why we haven't washed the bike or detailed the bike. So that's 1000. I'm going to leave that side there. I'm going to do 1200 on here just to show you the difference between, like, say, a mechanical tool versus, you know, doing it by hand. Like I said, doing it by hand, I think you get the best result, but obviously there is other ways around it, and just blowing a glove out, so I have to go change that. Right, new glove, let's go again. So here we go. This is, as I said, just a bit of kerosene on here, just to lube up the tube. Obviously put a bit on here. It's going to spray a little bit, but we just go it easy and see how we go. Right, so you can see we're getting to that sort of shininess now. As I said, this is the 1200 flat finishing disc. You can sort of see a lot more of the markings in there from the mechanical side of things versus, you know, the manual correction. But again, a bit of a harder pad, doesn't have a soft plate underneath it. But from this sort of point here, I then try and sort of do, like, I'll rub this one back now, just so it's the same as this one, just to show you the difference. But then from here I sort of move into like 1500, 2000, 3000 polishing stages, and with those polishing stages, again, I'm using another soft pad with cutting compound on it, so it's a polishing compound that sort of we use from this point forward. I don't use the sort of kerosene anymore after I sort of get up to the 1000. So I'll do that in some stages, film all that, and then yeah, by the time we sort of get back to it, we'll be closer to the finished product. So righto, just doing 1500 cut with a soft pad using, I use an auto glue metal polish here. I find it's very good. It's got some nice cutting ability in it. As we move up, I sort of change the finishing compound just to get a little bit more smoother. But yeah, that's what we sort of do from this point on. So again, do it in stages: 1500, 2000, 3000. Polish it up, and yeah, you'll start seeing it come into its own now. 3000 cut, we'll do it on a 3000, then we'll probably put a buffing pad on there, do a final shine, see what it looks like. Right, so that's a 3000 cut, progressive cut on the fork legs to get them up to this stage. I'm probably going to just use a bit of a Swiss Vax wax on this now. We'll use a buff and pad. Just try and put some heat in there, see if we can get a bit more shine. We'll see what that looks like. So we use a metal polish, which is a Swiss Vax bike sheen metal polish. Not everyone's going to have access to this sort of stuff, but obviously you can buy it. Some of the best stuff in the world, obviously. That's what we do. So I'll polish this on. I'll put it on with a pad. I'll get some heat in it with a pad, and see if we can get these pins to shine up a bit more. But yeah, we'll come back and we'll film a bit more of this bike once we put it through the wash bay and then back in the studio, do the chrome correction, and yeah, you'll see the finished result on this one. I'll put it all together on the video and hope you like it. Well, we finished off the Fat Boy 2000 model with the fork strip and polish. I thought I'd just show you over the rest of the bike now that's all completed. Detailing's all done. If you've watched so far, this far along, thanks very much. Really appreciate your support. If you want to jump on, like, subscribe, comment. Keen to find anyone that might have a little bit of a barn find, something that we might be able to fix up and, you know, sell off, and yeah, do a bit of footage to the studio. That'd be great too. So if you know anyone that might have something like that, give us a shout out, let us know, put me in touch, and yeah, hopefully we can make something happen. But anyway, we'll go over this one. Obviously, as I said, 2000 model Fat Boy. We did fork strip and polish, full chrome correction, platinum Swiss Vax detail, finished off in Swiss Vax shield wax. Yeah, I'm sure the owner will be pretty happy with it. So yeah, once again, thanks very much. I appreciate you tuning in. If there is, like I said, something that you would like us to do, let us know. We can definitely show you what we can and can't do through the studio. Anyway, thanks very much. Appreciate your support. See you.